Well, that show you you just some more property. They would barter and trade with you for you. He said they gave a boy for an harlot. That means the dude wanted to spend some money, spend some time. He didn't have no money. He wanted to spend some time with a prostitute. He would give a little boy. But God is talking about his people, right?
That's right.
So that means the little boy wasn't nothing but some property to be bought and sold. And he sold a girl for wine. See, that's what the slave trade was about. Some of them, they got rum for Israel. They didn't have no money. They said, well, give us so many boxes of rum. And they would bring rum and they would get them slaves. So he said they sold a girl for wine that they might drink. But now, skip down to verse 6 and go ahead.
The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their borders.
So everywhere we read, Israel got sold, right?
That's right.
We read in Deuteronomy, bond men and bond women, you got sold. So don't even get mad, because God said he was going to make sure you got sold. We got to do his will so we can get unsold. Get out of this. He said, the children of Judah and Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Greeks. Now, somebody sold you again. The people he mentioned, we skipped over verse 4, Tyre and Zidon. These are black Hamite nations who sold Israel to other nationalities, who sold Israel to the Gentiles. That's why he said Greeks here, right? Somebody had to sell you again. The Gentiles didn't go over in Africa and start tracking down people and taking them. They didn't do that. They went over there and made deals with people for some slaves. He said, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. See, Grecians is referring to the Gentiles, period. That ye might remove them far from their border. And we're a long way from home, like the choir was singing in the song, right? We're a long way from home, don't even know where home is, most people. But now, go to Luke 21. Luke 21. Because again, we're going to see if Jesus is concerned about somebody going into slavery. If it don't matter to him. Look, you read Luke 19. If you think Israel and Jerusalem don't matter to Jesus, you read Luke 19 starting at around verse 41. You find out that Jesus, when he was on the earth, he got close to Jerusalem, he started crying. He started weeping because he saw what was about to happen because they wouldn't listen to him when he was here. He said, these people don't never want to listen. So he got close to Jerusalem in Luke 19. He started weeping over the city and for the state. And he said, you know, y'all don't know what's about to happen, but your enemy about to surround you in a few years, and they're going to keep you in, and eventually they're going to lay everything on the ground. They're going to destroy everything down to the ground, and we end up in captivity again. Jesus is telling you about that. We read here in Luke 21, though. You read Luke 19 on your own. Luke 21 and verse 24. Read that. Let's see if Jesus knew about the rest of us. See, by Jesus' time, we was already lost. Many of them was in slavery, but still there was a handful there who had to go into slavery to finalize things. So Jesus knew what he said, verse 24.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
See, now Jesus is putting the nail in the coffin as concerning his people Israel. He's talking about it because it's important to him, obviously, right? So now he talked about, see, he's actually referring to 70 AD, which was some 40 years after he got crucified. He was letting them know how this thing was going to go down. He said the people are going to surround Jerusalem, and eventually the people are going to fall by the edge of the sword. Then he said something else. He said, and shall be led away captive into all nations. We keep seeing that throughout the Bible. Didn't we see that in Deuteronomy?
That's right.
Slavery into all nations. Captivity. All nations. Joel said you got sold unto the Grecians that you might be removed far from your borders. Moses talked about slave ships. And you sold for bond men and bond women. Now, you think Jesus don't know about it? Jesus said you're going to be led away captive into all nations. You want to know where Israel, the people of the Bible, is now? They black. But where's this black people at? How can you identify them? You know they've been led away captive into all nations. Wherever they are, you ask them, How did they get there? They're going to have to go back to somebody coming as a slave. Unless they migrated somewhere else. Not like somebody can leave here and go to France. Say, oh, I left here and came to France. But he said, yeah, where was you at before that though? And how did your forefather get there? Back to captivity again. He said, they shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem going to be ran by the Gentiles. See, the Gentiles run the world now. So whatever they say, go. But now, Jesus mentioned, now go to James 1. Because see, it's not like in the New Testament, Israel was unimportant. It finally became time for the Gentiles to hear the word. That's why it went out to the Romans, Galatians, and Colossians, all of those people. It became time for the Gentiles to come into the word too, because the word is for everybody. Any nationality that believe the word, God gonna deal with them. But they gonna believe it the way it's set up around Israel, because that's who God set it up with. Remember, Jesus said he was only sent to Israel. James 1. See, and this is the way it is to this day. James knew what had happened to all of Israel, the 12 tribes. James 1:1.
James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
See, the 12 tribes of Israel, James knew where they were at. He knew they wasn't no longer in the land. See, some people think Israel need to be in the land. Now, Israel is scattered in bondage all over. That's why James wrote to who? The 12 tribes scattered abroad, which are scattered abroad. He wrote to the ones he knew where they were. They scattered abroad. They all over the place. They're no longer in the promised land. Jesus said Israel was going to be led captive into all nations. So that's where the 12 tribes are. But now go to Revelation 2, because you should say, well, who is that in the promised land saying they Israel or the Jews? Because you got people over there say they Jews, right?
That's right.
See, again, the average person say, well, see, none of this lesson really don't matter, because see, you talking about people and God don't care about who you are and Israel. We already saw Jesus, how important Israel is to Jesus. But just in case you don't understand yet how important they are, we're going to let them tell you something else, even mentioning the people who over there now. Because that's a valid question. That's the question I would have. If you tell me where Israel scattered in slavery all over the world, the first thing I say, well, who is that over there to say they Israel? They say they Israeli or Jews. Who are those people there? How they get there? Well, they got there when Israel went into slavery. That don't mean they the real Israel. You can take something over and you can be called whatever you call, but that don't mean you the original owner. Just like this country is still called America, right? But because they haven't doctored the history, you know that it was some other people here before the Gentiles got here, right? Before the people that's running it now got here. You know some other people, and they call them what? Native Americans, right? They still here though. What do you think would happen? What if the Native Americans had been shipped into slavery and gone somewhere and wasn't around here? Wouldn't nobody talk about you? Wouldn't even know nothing about the Native Americans, wouldn't you? They wouldn't even tell you about it. They say, hey, this is our country. It's been our country from day one. But because the people still around, you got to address that and say, yeah, well, they was here first. They the Native Americans. Where the native Jews or the native Israel no longer around. So they ain't even got to address that question. But notice what Jesus said. If you think, identifying who the real Israel or Jews are don't matter, you need to listen to Jesus here. Revelation 2:9. Go ahead.
I know thy works and tribulation and poverty.
Now Jesus is talking to the real Israel, the real Jews who scattered in bondage. Like James just said, the 12 tribes scattered abroad, right? That's who he's talking to. But he gonna mention some more people. But he said, I know your works. I know your tribulation. I know your poverty. See, notice Israel is always scuffling. That's how the Israel of the Bible is. That's the predicament Israel in the Bible got to be in to this day. Having a hard time. That's what it sounds like Jesus saying, right? He said, I know you scuffling. I know you got tribulation. I know you even got poverty. One thing you should ask yourself, how many of those so-called Jews is in poverty? I've been to some of their ghettos. They don't look too bad. You go up on the North Shore of Chicago and you see how bad they living. It'll make you cry for the wrong reason. So it's not no poverty there. Running things. But he said, I know your works and your tribulation and your poverty. But then he said something else in parentheses. Go ahead.
But thou art rich.
See, really the chosen people, Israel is rich. We are rich people. Technically. But that's in another form. That's spiritually because we own everything that God gave. We own, matter of fact, ain't nobody going to understand the word until we give it to them because that's the way God give it. Didn't God say, I only have known of all the families of the earth, I only known Israel?
That's right. Therefore,
if anybody in the world really want to know all about God, they're going to have to get it from Israel because that's who God know, right?
That's right.
Didn't Jesus say he was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel? That's some richness, isn't it? For Jesus to say, look, I'm only sent to this crazy lost people. He said it was lost. I'm only sent to them. Jesus didn't go to Europe, brothers and sisters. Some people, they got some stuff say, yeah, you know, later on he went to England. That's a lie. He didn't go nowhere. He was only dealing with Israel. All of his life he only dealt with Israel. He did that miracle for that woman because she had faith. But as a whole, he only dealt with Israel, right?
That's right.
But later he sent the apostles to other people. He told Peter to go to the Italians. And those were real Italians. Got some Israelites say, well, they was just Israel in Italy. No, those were real Italians. It were real Gentiles then. But now, read that again, 2 and 9.
I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich.
Now, how can you be in poverty and rich at the same time unless we talk about two different ways? Physically, you scuffling, you struggling, you in projects, you in poverty. Spiritually, you got it all if you realize it. And that'll make everything else better once you realize it. If you start doing what you need to do. So we're talking two different ways, obviously, right? Right. You're in tribulation and poverty physically, but spiritually you're rich. You just got to tap into your richness. But now, he didn't stop there. He knows something about somebody else too. Who else he know about?
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
You mean Jesus care about somebody say they are Jews and are not? As if, you know, people say nationality don't really matter. Look, as a whole, it don't matter. But it matters when you twisting the facts and lying, don't it?
That's right.
It matters when you done lied and said you somebody that you not, right? It matters to Jesus, don't it?
That's right.
He said, first of all, I know your works, your tribulation, and your poverty, but you rich. Then he said something else, all in one verse. And I know the blasphemy. He said these people are blasphemy. The blasphemy of them which say they are Jews. They say they Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Now people get mad. You know, they say, well, see, y'all talking about people. Look, we are reading the Bible.
That's right.
Get mad at Jesus. He said it, words in red, right? See, but people, that's why preachers don't want to read this because they don't want to get in no trouble. I don't care about trouble. I've been in trouble all my life. I don't even care. So I ain't got no problem reading it to you. But if you're going to get mad at the Bible. Jesus said it. Read it one more time. Make sure everybody know that. Go ahead.
I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich.
So that's what people scuffling and struggling and spiritually rich. But what else do Jesus know?
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
So he said he know the blasphemy of the people that's lying, saying they Jews. See, so we know the Jews can't be at home. Because all that we read in the Bible, the real Jews or Israel, Jew just became short for Israel once most of them was already in slavery. Jew come from the word Judah, which was Jacob's fourth son. That's where Jew come from. But being that the other 10 tribes went into captivity a long time ago, it was only 2 left and Jew was the leader of them. Judah was the leading of them. So that's why they start calling everybody Jew. But really, we still talking about Israel. But see, Jesus knew what the people would be saying. See, even if you realize, you say, well, those people from Judah, that's what some people try to say. Well, see, yeah, the people over there, they from Judah. But see, yeah, the other tribes, there's some black tribes scattered out. They somewhere else. Just like they brought some Ethiopians back to Israel, and they said, look, they part of us too. And they black. But see, that go to show you again, you ain't going to have part of the nation black and part of the nation white. That's a lie. Either they all black or white. Make up your mind. But see, they can't palm it off. They can't say that they all white. So they saying, well, some, you know, you got some black Jews too. Look, if you got some black Jews too, that's all you got is some black Jews.